Hello and welcome. It's barely a month since government reopened borders, and already trade experts are making an urgent call to deal with all existing challenges impeding trade activity across the transit corridors and borders of Ghana and her West African neighbors. Joining me to discuss is National President of Cross-Border Trade Advocacy Group Borderless Alliance, Zayad Hamoui. We're grateful, Zayad, that you could join us at this short notice. First of all, to lay this in context, Zayad, touch on the ordeal traders suffered during the travel restrictions at the borders.
Well, thank you, Charles. And indeed, it is a morale booster when we start to move across the borders, because obviously when people move, trade will move, an exchange of knowledge takes place, and we are social beings. So now that we have finally came to reckon with the health situation, this time to get to the economic questions and the challenges. And it is true that even before COVID started, there were challenges flying the movement of cargo and people across corridors in West Africa. And that has been adding cost to do with business and increasing the times of moving across corridors.
Indeed, but beyond the reopening of borders, there remain several trading blocks hindering the easy flow of goods across the SAP region. What exactly are they?
Absolutely. I mean, I can summarize as much as I can in view of the fact of the ongoing fasting and feeling myself a little bit under the weather at the moment. So what I can summarize is 3 points. The first one is the lack of adequate infrastructure that connect African countries together. The roads, the borders, some of the ports in the region. I mean, in Ghana, you might have adequate infrastructure in areas. In other areas, it might not be that adequate. But then it tallies up, because when you are trading across borders from one country to the other, you need to have, first of all, the infrastructure in place. Now, the second point has to do with the interconnectivity of our trading system. And that is, for example, the customs which communicate across countries. If you originate your goods from Ghana and then you terminate in Togo, and then once you cross from Ghana with your ICOM systems and you move into Togo, customs clearance, and you find out that it's not actually connected to your system, you have to go through the process again. That is a double cost and double handling. It adds up to the cost and to the time of business. And then there are some points that have to do with the lack of enforcement of the implementation of regional regulations across ECOWAS. You know, for example, that we have our regional West African Trade Facilitation Agreement is called the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, or ETLS. And ETLS is an agreement that has been around for quite some time, although it wasn't implemented as effectively as we would like it to be, and allows registered users and economic operators to move locally originating goods duty-free and quota-free. What happens at the moment is that there are some countries where the jurisdiction is disputed and there are certain complaints, and then you get to a point where you want to move your complaint across, and you find out that there are no clear dispute resolution mechanisms because of the fact that when the founding members, the heads of states of ECOWAS, founded ECOWAS at the time, they agreed that they will avoid dispute settlements and rigorous procedures because we are brothers and sisters. And so you can solve issues among you. Now, obviously, in a globalizing world, in a digital world, that does not apply. There are so many issues that arise during trade. And so you need to know that if I have issues because of importing or exporting or transiting or any other kind of complaint, I have to go to the particular point at regional level, right? I'm not talking about national level.
Sure.
I'm talking at regional ECOWAS level.
Yeah.
Because in Ghana, in Nigeria, in other countries, they have structures, national structures that are supposed to help provide support for traders and economic operators, either operated by government agencies or operated by civil society organizations or operated by private sector organizations that have concession in particular bodies. So there are certain mechanisms that are set in place on a national level, but they do not communicate across. And so now that we are looking at integrating West Africa, we have to think and consider how we can connect countries together in order to provide the infrastructure that allows the goods and the people to move, to lower the time and the cost of moving goods across West Africa.
Indeed. You're calling for basically the simplification and harmonization of border control procedures that will truly reflect the continent's integration objectives. But the question is, how can this be realized?
Well, the implementation of the regional agreement is basically a law enforcement domain. And I believe that we have low capacity for law enforcement across West Africa, actually. Because once you have the legal structures that can launch a complaint in particular areas of trade, the international trade laws are very clear. The agreements and the commitments that various countries commit to when they sign agreements at the heads of state level or at the ministerial level in the international world in Geneva or wherever, or in Abuja, there is a legal basis for that. Now, the interesting thing is that if you look at the ECOWAS laws, if you go through the ECOWAS laws or even the UEMA laws, Francophone countries in West Africa, you'll find that you have adequate laws. The laws specify what are the documentation, what is the procedure for moving your goods from country A to country B, what kind of documents, which kind of structures. But then when it comes to implementation, that is where various countries try to distort, either willingly or unwillingly, the market playing field in order to protect or to allow a certain exposure for locally originating goods. And that destroys the spirit of regional integration, which means stronger together. We have 15 countries in West Africa. If we are divided, we'll be conquered. And so the essence of economic integration is to put our heads together at the heads of states level and the agencies level, and to build mechanisms that reinforce the implementation of these regional laws on a national level, so that we can coordinate the movement of goods, so that we can coordinate some of the complaints coming up, whether, for example, you recall a few weeks ago, there's an ongoing battle at the Benin border, because Benin insists, for example, to levy duties on ECOWAS originating goods.
Sure.
And this is in flies flagrantly in the face of the ECOWAS laws. And the issue is not a technical issue. We can say that sometimes these are not technical issues. And so, technically speaking, there are laws and rules and regulations that are adequate enough to ensure a smooth connection of our intra-African systems, but it needs to be protected or empowered by a strong leadership on a national level and on a regional level, in order to ensure that you can provide the same kind of opportunity to whichever economic operator is coming from within the ECOWAS region. We are one in the ECOWAS region.
Indeed, Zed, we're grateful for your input there. He's National President of Borderless Alliance, helping us appreciate the current challenges regarding intra-African trade and the ease of doing business among our member states. Of course, we're grateful once again for his inputs. But from the borders, we delve into the agri sector, because Kenya has bid Ghana to be the top destination for agri-tech investment in Africa. One of the major factors responsible for this is the aggressive resolve the country has committed to solving its food security challenges, with two agri-tech startups, being Twiga Foods and Apollo Agriculture, raising $80 million and $40 million respectively for the agri sector. Anthony Morrison is Chief Executive of the Agribusiness Chamber, and he joins me to discuss. Anthony, what is Ghana not doing right to attract tech investors into the agribusiness sector? If you can kindly unmute so we could hear you better, please. I'm afraid we're having challenges connecting to Anthony, but we shall reconnect to bring you that particular discussion regarding Kenya leading Africa and beating Ghana to become the best destination for agri-tech innovations and investment. But in the meantime, President Akufo-Addo has launched Destination Ghana in London, the United Kingdom, the first in a series of activity to restore the viability of tourism in Ghana. One value chain expected to benefit most from this is the hotels industry, which has had its fair share of the negative impact of the pandemic on their profit margins. Well, Edward Akanyamike is president of the Hotels Association of Ghana, and he joins us for more. We're grateful that he could join us. You hear President Akufo-Addo announce Destination Ghana to boost tourism. Obviously, is the hotels industry all set for this ambitious initiative?
Well, Charles, thanks so much for the opportunity. Indeed, the launch of Destination Ghana in London, one of the our expectations of the government and indeed the Ghana Tourism Authority and the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture to spearhead the development of our tourism industry. I always say that the industry depends on the movement of people, thrives on the movement of people. So anything that facilitates that movement is welcome news. You remember that a year ago, the president launched the domestic tourism campaign, and then he's ahead to push for Destination Ghana. Destination Ghana is more of attracting international visits, or they look at the international market to the country, more so when COVID-19 really affected the inflow of international visits to our country and to our tourism in Ghana. So it is something we are very happy about, and we will take opportunity.
All right, indeed. But what existing challenges exist for the hotels industry now? Is it insufficient funds, unfavorable business climate, or both of these challenges?
You see, we have suffered a lot in the past 2 years. I must say that from the middle of 2021, we started seeing some significant recovery. And that has been going on since then to date. We are looking forward more traffic into the country, especially with some of the programs that the GTA and the ministry are rolling out, including this Destination Ghana. So that aspect we believe can be handled also with regards to the domestic tourism campaign. So the issue about occupancy of that action can be dealt with. Probably the other aspect is what you rightly mentioned. That has to do with the business climate. That has to do with the exchange rate, the hiking fuel prices, all the other macroeconomic indicators which we are all having challenges with. You know, our industry also depends on disposable incomes. When the cost of living goes high, then it affects the pocket and we also suffer in the process. So these are areas that we're hoping that together with the campaigns that have been launched will also be dealt with, so that those two factors will be dealt with, and that will be good news for the industry.
Well, you mentioned the high cost of production, and obviously with the hikes in inflation rates, the matters regarding the cedi dollar performance and even that of the cost of production, definitely we're going to be expecting your sector to really feel the pinch. How is it impacting the cost of services that hotels are rendering to customers?
Well, when it comes to services, I must assure you that every hotel worth a salt, irrespective of the challenges on the ground, want to provide the services that will be appreciated by their clients. So the hotels have not lowered their standard of services because of the economic challenges in the system. What is happening now is that a lot of the hotels are looking at cutting costs much as possible to see how they can reduce their costs so that the profit margins will be protected in a way. So going forward, what we need to really think about is making the best out of the situation in terms of aggressive marketing, of partnership with our industry players like the car rentals, the tour operators, the tour guides and all that, so that together we can drive enough traffic, make up for the high cost of food.
Dr. Akanyamika, we're grateful that you could join us. He's president of the Hoteliers Association of Ghana, briefing us on preparedness ahead of the Destination Ghana campaign and the challenges facing the hotels industry in the meantime. You're still watching The Marketplace. We're going for a short break. When we return, we shall visit the story about Kenya leading Africa when it comes to being the best destination for agri-tech investments. Do stay with us. Now, the coronavirus pandemic may have disrupted economies around the world, but also has it opened an endless opportunity for tech-based jobs and offers. Today's on Tech Business, we delve into the 8 high-income skills to learn this year to have gainful employment. As always, Henry Coppola, lead of tech firm Eyes of Africa, joins us for more. Henry, great to have you here once again. Share with us the 8 high-income skills to learn this time around to gain employment this year, gainful employment as it sounds.
Thank you very much, Charles. So the tech business is seeing a very big boost, quite a lot of fundraising happening for a lot of startups. So one of the income draining skills that a lot of people would be looking at is the Web3 and blockchain development. I mean, that's very new, where a lot of people are looking into the DeFi sector, creating a lot of coins into the cryptocurrency, and creating a lot of applications in terms of the educational sector, the political sector, using blockchain technologies. And so for people that are interested in learning a good skill that would take them far, I mean, the Web3 and the blockchain development seems to be one of the lookout skills that you should be looking at. I mean, it's not really developed. There are not a lot of pipes, a lot of tutorials around to look at, not a lot of universities treating such topics, but there are quite a lot of information online which you could basically pick up and try and learn in. The next thing I would look at is the mobile application development. I mean, mobile application is becoming the order of the day. A lot of people are looking at creating mobile applications that are going to suit their business requirements. Quite a lot of people are getting a lot of funding into their startups and would require a lot of developers in the mobile application sector. And so it's one of the biggest points where you could look at. The next one I might look at, not really one of the things that's really new, web development, but I could tell you that it's still on the boom, especially in Africa, because quite a lot of people are now realizing the need for website development for their organizations because of reputational issues. And so a lot of people are looking at that sector one way or the other. So it could be a good skill that you could look at in that regard.
All right, so you've mentioned Web3 and blockchain development. You've mentioned mobile application development and website development. Also, walk us through affiliate marketing and cloud computing.
In marketing, I mean, one of the most amazing ways when you're looking at doing sales. I mean, the people that don't know how to do programming could be looking at affiliate marketing. That's a way where you get to make a lot of sales on tech products. And so if I get to experience, let's say, a cloud computing product and I feel that it's good, I could tell people that, hey, this cloud computing program is good, and people could just jump on. By them using the application, I get to get some money thrown at me, and that could be one of the ways people could generate money. Cloud computing, no-brainer. I mean, quite a lot of people are jumping onto the cloud applications, cloud softwares, cloud services, services online. And so there are quite a number of them that are there now. When people are jumping on these architecture, you realize that then we need a lot of engineers on these architecture. And so you being able to understand, let's say, Amazon platforms in terms of their cloud computing points gives you a big leverage to working in one of the big tech companies around. I could look at maybe tech writing, which is one of the things that's really coming up because a lot of people want people that are very good with tech to be able to put down things regarding their business development processes and other things, and translating the algorithms into plain languages for people to understand. And so being able to leverage between code and leverage between plain language gives you a work in the tech industry. Data analytics, I love data analytics because it's one of the biggest, I could bet on it, that would give a lot of people money. You relatively need to understand tutorial code to be able to get to that point. But you being a big analyst could give you a leverage. I mean, there are lots of data running around and you could definitely be looking at it. The last one I might just mention through the social media marketing and influence marketing. I mean, being able to understand social media. People think that it's just about posting, but no, it goes way beyond posting. It comes in with strategies. I mean, what strategy would you want to put on TikTok for a company? What strategy would you want to give a media company on Twitter? I mean, all those strategy comes into play. And so you being able to understand that game, understand the algorithms that come along with social media, being able to do a proper planning, proper content management on it, and even being an influencer on social media gives you a big leverage in terms of money. I mean, you really don't need to just learn code to be able to be doing social media marketing and influence marketing. So anybody relatively could be start looking at that point and getting in it.
And for those who would want to venture into this particular skill, do they have to earn a particular experience before venturing into this tech-based field? And whilst you're at it, also help our viewers appreciate the amount in terms of the monetary value in salary that they will be enjoying once they have these skills at their fingertips.
So these are high-level skills. What you should know is that they pay very much. If you're getting into a good startup that has raised some level of funding, you should be looking at around $2,000 to almost about $4,000 in terms of the revenues for any of these skills that I've actually mentioned. There are also quite some creative ones which comes in with being bigger engineers or being a senior engineer in any of the companies. But at least I can just bet my hands on almost about $2,000 to like $5,000 for any of these 8 skills that I've actually raised up. I mean, skills as much as social media marketing relatively gets these influencers making as minimum as let's say like 1,500 at shots of content. And so if they're doing these shots of content, let's say for 5 different companies in a month, you're relatively using almost about 10,000 Ghana cedis in your space. And so it becomes competitive, it becomes how you become smarter, and also how you get to dedicate some level of time. The problem with these skills is that you really need a lot of time to perfect them, to be able to use them, because quite a lot of people don't get to perfect their skills before they get into the industry, and so they get a lot of challenges and they're not able to prove their worth. There are a lot of companies in Ghana that are looking out for, let's say, machine learning architect or artificial intelligence, let's say, programmers, but they are not getting because people don't really stick at their necks to learn fully. I mean, being an artificial intelligence engineer could earn you as much as almost about $8,000 to $10,000 a month. These are high-level skills that people could definitely just sit. You really don't need university tuition to get into any of these skills I've actually mentioned. By subscribing to some of the tutorials that are around on online courses,
sure,
you relatively could build up the skills to be able to work and earn some income.
Henry, we're grateful that you could help us with these tidbits on how to expand your skill set as an entrepreneur, as a university graduate, whoever you are, to earn employable income at the end of the month. Well, you're still watching Marketplace with me, Charles Aite, and I think that'll be it for the bulletin, but we shall be leaving you with Funded in today's edition of Funded, where we help you appreciate how best to situate your business idea to attract the needed income. Take a look.
Hello guys, it's another time with me on your 1-minute financial tips with Dr. Thelma of the Desert Dew Services and Consultancy. Today, we are talking about the originality of your idea. Once you have a business idea, you need to convince the founders that your idea is an original one and not an afterthought. Remember that funders would want to fund an idea that is original and it is coming directly from you. Always remember to explain into details to funders what exactly your idea is about, what needs you seek to address, and who your target audience are. Funders would want to spend their money and their time on an idea that is original, coming from you, and it is very convincing. Until you are able to do that, make sure you work on all that is needed to convince your funders that your idea is an original one and not an afterthought. Thank you, Labadi Beach Hotel, for hosting us. See you in the next session.
And I guess you took down some notes. That'll be it for the Marketplace. I'm Charles Aite. But for more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.